Fuck it, I entertain and play along. They claim they the best in the game when I'm the system that they play it on. They copy me, but my pattern is far beyond strange. I sit back and watch my clones play like LeBron James. See, I'm the illest that's walking under the firmament. A pat on the back from me will leave a pump that's permanent. They pointed and laughed when cautious wasn't doing well. I needed that. First you learn, then you remove the L. Soon after that, you can't be stopped. Get up and go and get it. You gotta activate your hustle if you want specifics. It's no denying me, my flow's terrific. All these candy bars being produced, I guess that may be the golden ticket. My whole life, good and evil, been playing tug of war, but still I remain flyer than Marty McFly's hoverboard. Don't trust the soul, too many stabs in the back. They sleeping on me now, it's time to wake them up from their nap. It's a difference between confusion and undeniable rap. That's why fake they listen and don't know how to act. Fact, sonic boom, I'm light speeding. Trust now haters like scheming. Switch up from good to bad to gremlin type like they night feeding. Rhyming to my teeth, broken diamond to my...
Yo. Welcome to the show. It's your boy Big Mike, and I'm here with a good friend of mine. We started way back at the beginning of the football season, talking bets and talking making money and things like that. It's my guy, AG from Men of Order Sports. AG, long time no see. Good to see you. Good to talk to you again, man. How you doing, bro?
You as well. I'm doing good. Hope you are as well. I just got to say that intro is fire, man. I love it. And I'm happy to be here. It's good to be on your channel. I've had you on my channel at Men of Order Sports quite a few times. We made quite a lot of money. We're going right back to the well with you in the first touchdown bet as soon as the next season starts. Don't ask him who the Raiders are drafting this year. Don't ask him who the Raiders should get for quarterback. Just ask him who's scoring the first touchdown of week one, and put some money in your pocket. You can't really bet on who's going to be the draft pick for the Raiders unless it's the first pick and things like that. So, worry about where the money's at.
Absolutely,
come to our channel for that.
Definitely, man. And you know what? This is why I got you here, man. Because you do great work on Men of Order Sports, and you also do great articles. One of which is I do want to talk to you about is I want to share the title with everybody. It's a little controversial, but it's very informative, right? It's something that everybody can kind of learn from, and you spark a conversation, and it's good to talk about, right? Popping pills and banning weed, right? The NFL's controversial use of painkillers. I thought it was a great article that you did, man, and I really wanted to get you here so we could talk a little bit about it. Little preface, right, from me, right? Personally, you see NFL throughout the ages, it's changed over the years, right? You see, these players, they would, walk around with broken noses. You even saw it on my intro. You saw Jim Otto with the single bar, his nose all jacked up.
Yep.
These NFL players don't play like that anymore, right? They don't, they break a nose, something like that, or all the protection from the helmet. You're not seeing guys going in there with broken noses and things like that. And if they did, there's medical, there's different protocols that will stop them from doing such a thing. That would just kind of put some dirt on it and keep rolling.
Yep.
Over the years, you saw progression, you saw an evolution in medical treatment and in that protocol, but it was kind of harmful, right? Where you had guys that were Hall of Famers, they couldn't get out of bed and they were relying heavily on these painkillers, popping pills just to stand upright. Now we got things, now we got not just the painkillers, we got also the medical cannabis is helping people who kind of cope through that. So in saying all that, tell me a little bit from your words about your article and kind of where you were trying to get at with that and lay it out for us, man. Lay it out for us.
Well, first of all, I appreciate your compliments on the article. I'm glad you found it really informative and everything. I wrote it about 2 years ago. I guess it kind of just, got relevant again because of Byron Jones recently retiring, and we'll get into that. What he tweeted out, which was pretty much about this, what we're going to be talking about here. But I wrote it because the NFL, they came out and made an announcement. They're not going to be suspending players for the use of marijuana. Now, we can get into the medical uses of marijuana. Is that a thing? Is that valid or not? I'm not going to take a strong stance on either side because I haven't really studied it. I smoke weed, but I don't do it for medicinal purposes. I never have. I will say after a football game, in high school and college, after playing a game, there was nothing better than sitting down in the chair and smoking a joint. You feel better, relax, your muscles, things like that. But Painkillers are doing the same things for these players right there on the field. I think it was just controversial to suspend players for smoking weed or having positive cannabis on their drug tests, but you're handing out pills just because those are legal pills. This is the number one argument that people are going to give, right? Well, weed is illegal federally, so the NFL shouldn't, allow it, or they should at least have it regulated, things like that. That's the argument. However, as I wrote in my article, if you dig a little deeper on this pills thing, they're not exactly following all the rules when it comes to this either, when it comes to the painkillers. Right. So, they're not following the legal rules, the federal laws anyway, then the weed argument is thrown out of the window when it comes to is it legal or not. Now it's opening up a little bit more, so they did reverse their stance on it. But my article was just to point out the hypocrisy that lasted forever. And, I also added how these painkillers, like you said, there's retired players who can't get out of bed, can't walk without taking something. That's a lot of these players, unfortunately. And the percentages are like 6 or 7%. Doesn't sound like a lot, but you think about a 55-man roster for how many years now in the NFL? There's a lot of former NFL players, and a lot of them are dealing with problems because of the painkillers that they were fed on the sidelines and in the locker rooms and during practice, things like that.
Yeah, man. And you know what? Two things kind of pop up in my mind. There's one. I remember watching the documentary. I can't remember exactly what the documentary was on, but one that sticks out, a moment that sticks out was Jerome Bettis trying to get out of bed first thing in the morning and how much he struggled just getting out of bed. That really stuck out to me. And you know what? It kind of makes me think if there was things that were available, like, medical cannabis, how much it would change these athletes' careers over the years, or even post-career. Would they be able to stand a little bit better? Would things be a little bit different if they would have been treated earlier in their season, earlier in their careers, and not to be taught, hey, put some dirt on it, take this pill to mask whatever whatever's going on. It kind of makes me wonder, right? Second, Ricky Williams, right? You talked a little bit about Ricky Williams on your article, and he was kind of a revolutionary as far as this goes, as far as being that big advocate for cannabis.
Him and Josh Gordon,
and Josh Gordon got basically blackballed from the NFL.
Right. Yeah, Ricky Williams, I will say you're right. He was the one who was like an activist for it. He was really actively fighting against it. Josh Gordon was just failing all his tests. You know what I mean? So the thing about Ricky Williams, I remember he retired, and I think solely because of that reason is because he was such an advocate for that alternative healing of medical cannabis, and to the point where he was the NFL wasn't having it, so he's like, okay, I'm gonna retire and pretty much conserve my body. Over the years, he kind of came back and he kind of revived his career with the Ravens. I know you're a Ravens fan, right? Yep.
So, I know he went back to the Ravens and kind of revived his career to an extent, but it makes me believe if the times were a little bit different, Ricky Williams would have had a longer career and we'd be talking about him going possibly to the Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, he was a dog on the field, and but just his demeanor. I mean, he fought back against what he believed in, which you got to respect it either way. But yeah, I mean, just to your point about the results and what happens when these players are taking all these painkillers and stuff. The main issue, besides just the side effects that happen, the main issue is that a lot of these players aren't warned about the possible side effects. Right. We all know that there's side effects. Ricky Williams knows that smoking weed comes with some side effects. There's side effects to everything. There's a reason that everything in what is the saying? Everything in not abundance,
in moderation.
Everything in moderation. I don't know why I couldn't think of it there. Everything in moderation. Like we know there's side effects to doing certain things, especially when you're doing it way too much. That's the problem. If there's 7 or 8 pills given out during the game for one person, it's different than just taking one painkiller. And that's how you start getting addicted. Now you got that problem even when you're not in the league, even when you're not beating your body up anymore, you're still beating them up with these pills.
Right. So, and then that was another one of those things that you covered in your article where you're talking about the survey that they did, and you were saying that on average each player was getting about 7 or 8 pills, and that's so alarming to me. That's what really was like, oh wow, this is Now
here's the really alarming part. Not everybody on that roster is getting even one pill. Probably there's probably some players on that roster that aren't touching them. right?
That's the scary part.
And on average, it's still 6 or 7. So, I mean, some guys were accounting for 20 a week or 12, you know what I mean? So, and that number, the other part I said in that article is that number is actually also probably low because that's the NFL's data.
Right.
They're not going to give you the real number. You know
That's
what I mean?
true.
That's just being naive if you think they're going to give if it's already that bad, what they're revealing, just you can assume it's 10 times worse behind closed doors and on the real, data sheets.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? It's kind of scary when you see it, considering there is, that the opiate crisis that is going on
Right.
in this country. And, you see it on a smaller scale in sports now, well, particularly in football, where, it's still an issue. It's still an issue to an extent. And, these athletes, they rely solely on their body to kind of make the money. So if their body isn't cooperating with them, it is that pressure to be like, all right, I got to pop a pill to keep going, and then you see down the line, them down the line, towards the end of their careers, they can't walk. I mean, I think I remember is just the number of, you hear the number of stories retired NFL players be like, I had to get this knee replaced, I had to get a hip replaced, I had to, and it's so alarming because it's like they played through these injuries they probably should have sat out for a little bit for the sake of earning that second contract, staying relevant on the team, and it's pretty crazy. And I don't know exactly what you can do to kind of improve the medical treatment for these players, because athletes, I don't know about you. I mean, we both play football. We're very self-harming for the sake of the game, right? We're going to go out there and do and play, I remember I played with a bad ankle for years, man.
Yeah, I played through a lot of injuries too. My senior year, I had a minor sprain week 2, I think, of the season. I didn't miss a game though, and it was so much worse by the end of the season,
Right.
So I mean but that's what you do, and that's what we've done. So I mean, there is a hard line. You're definitely towing a line because a lot of those players are asking for the pills. Right. Because you're right, they want to stay relevant. They want to make sure that they're getting that next contract because the careers are so short in the NFL. You got to kind of go for that next contract. If you're in a contract year, you're asking for the pills. The problem is these players aren't being warned about the side effects, the addiction, the things that come after that. And the NFL doesn't broadcast that too much to us. That's kind of things that we just find. And there's a reason for that, obviously.
Right. And what I hope is happening is that there is like some kind of symposium or some kind of meeting that's going on before the season starts, or even when you're about to get drafted, like, hey, we do provide this, that, and the third, but here's the side effects. This is what can happen to you, just, enter at your own risk type of deal, because it's like, I couldn't see how you could really stop somebody from trying to, earn that second contract, stay in the game, stay relevant. It's hard to get an elite athlete to stop what they're doing. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping that there's at least a group of people trying to do their due diligence and to kind of giving them the warning signs behind it.
Yeah. And, I'm hopeful as well, but it took the NFL forever to get this concussion thing right, in terms of that monitoring with players not going back into the game and things like that. And it's still not foolproof. I mean, we saw what happened with Tua this season.
Right.
And so, I mean, it's tough, because now you're talking about
DeMar Hamlin.
Yeah, but now you're talking about way more minor injuries than concussions even. You're talking about some ankle pain that you're popping the pill for. You know what I mean? So if it took them that long to even start taking the concussion thing serious, I can guarantee you they're not worried about this. They want to put that product back on the field. It's a dollar sign at the end of the day. NFL operates as a business. That's the problem. And that's the reason that it was that hypocrisy for so long. Banning weed is they just wanted to keep the image the right way. They didn't care about the player health. They never really did, if you really think about it.
It's true. Now, next question I got is regarding like the medical use of cannabis, right? There are naysayers behind it, right? Particularly, I listened to Coach JB on on YouTube, and he has a morning show, and he's really against weed in general, particularly because, for one, he's saying that the weed today isn't the weed that was grown from the ground from like maybe even 20 years ago, to where it's it's legal now. So it's in a what is it? What's the word? It's manufactured.
Regulated,
Yeah,
controlled, manufactured
yeah,
businesses, big business now and stuff. Yeah,
right.
right.
It's a big business. So it's like synthetically made. There's different flavors and things like that. So I guess my question to you is, how concerned are you that this new kind of manufactured cannabis is kind of harmful to these players? Now, I've noticed that there's a lot more players going down with injuries now as back in the day, and they're not big injuries like hamstrings, soft tissue injuries. It makes me wonder out loud, is like, how is there a correlation? Because he thinks that there's a correlation between the soft tissue injuries and more athletes using weed. So what would you think? What do you think? Is there a correlation? I'm guessing that's what I'm asking. Do you think there's a correlation, or do you think this guy's kind of off his rocker?
Well, I'm a big fan of JB, Coach JB.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't think he's off his rocker. He's on the money with a lot of stuff and a lot of his takes. I'm not sure. I mean, that's an interesting take. I would have to look into that with the the marijuana affecting joints and soft tissue, stuff like that, like little injuries and whatnot. Because you're right, in every sport there's more injuries. I mean, it's a huge topic in the NBA right now with how many injuries, the load management, things like that. And a lot of people are saying they don't practice enough, which is actually hurting their bodies when they, go live for a game. So there could be similar things going on in the NFL too. But to the first part of your question about the weed, like, yeah, I am concerned. 1, 2, I'm a big fan. Or not big fan, but I'm a big proponent of you not touching that government weed. You know what I mean? When it started getting legalized, that a lot of weed smokers got happy. I was like, I don't know about that. I mean, where I'm coming from when it comes to anything like that. So you're right. Now it's all, it's not homegrown stuff. It's not, just growing in someone's backyard that's doing some small business on, it's big money involved now. And companies are going to do whatever it takes to grow it faster, grow it stronger, grow it better. A lot of people, a lot of the old heads, I'll be chilling at the park. We passed them, one of them. They're like, what the hell? Like, oh, this shit's too strong. I want to get high. I don't want to not do anything,
Right.
I guess in my generation, we're probably used to it. Like, it doesn't affect me like that, but I'm also not going to a dispensary. We just legalized in New Jersey about a year and a half ago now. I don't even know, to be honest, because it didn't even cross my mind. I haven't gone to a dispensary. That's me. I'm going to keep going to my guy and make that happen, because I can trust it a little bit more, I guess, than the government or big money, big companies and things like that. So that is a concern, and I can definitely see that. But I'm not sure in terms of it affecting the injuries. That's something I never really looked into, so I don't want to, guess. But it's an interesting thing. That sounds like it could correlate.
Right, and then that's kind of where I was getting at. It was like when he said that, I'm like, I mean, it would be stupid for me to be like, you're not true, because who am I, right? Like,
yeah, I have no idea. That's an interesting topic, though.
It's an interesting topic, and it's I don't smoke. I don't smoke weed. I'm not allowed to anyway, because of the job I have. First off, and second, last time I did, they didn't have these dispensaries. They didn't have the synthetic government weed and things like that. So I have no idea what the difference is at this point. But what I do notice is in the NFL, at the beginning of the season, you do see more injuries. And I don't think it's necessarily due. I don't know if you can directly link it to that. I would link it to, well, they don't hit anymore in practice. They don't
Similar
go full
to the NBA
speed.
argument.
Yeah, they don't go full speed if preseason anymore. Preseason games alone, they don't really even start the starters. So the only time you really
see games now,
right,
with a week in between of rest, and yeah, no, 100%. I think there could be many things that go into it, and players smoking more weed nowadays than they did in the past could be one of those factors. But do we know that they're smoking more of it now than in the past?
We don't know.
His only point is just that it's different weed now. That I agree with.
Yeah, and I'm thinking,
and the old heads, every old head I've talked to has agreed with that. So I'm not. Who am I to say no to that? You know what I mean? All my proof and evidence from other generations, they see our shit and they're like, I don't know about that. You know what I mean? They're like, that's strong. Like, what do you got? Like, and it's definitely, I can agree there, at least at that part.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, man. I don't want to do any kind of experiments on it at all. You know what I mean? Like,
Right,
I don't want to see the difference. I'll speculate. I'll ask.
Right.
It'll be all hearsay to me. But it's interesting to look at it to where it's like, hey, maybe Coach JB was right. Maybe there's something in this new government type of weed that is causing these soft tissue injuries to these athletes.
I think the argument that you're making right now is bring the cocaine back into sports.
Oh,
because
yeah.
You're saying there was less back then, and they were all on that back then. So is that the argument we're making here?
Hey, you know what? Hey, just imagine a guy like Max Crosby's recovering from whatever. Just a guy like, let me not even make a joke with that, bro. You get where I'm getting at, bro.
Right. I got you.
But
LeBron James on coke.
Oh my
Another
God,
story.
Bro.
I know what you're saying,
man.
for sure. But I'm just joking. But no, that's definitely. I feel like there's so many factors that can go into the injury thing. I don't think it would be right of JB to try to pinpoint that. But he might be right for sparking that conversation.
Yeah, I think it's worth at least a conversation.
Right.
And this, we're here talking about it too. So
exactly,
mission accomplished, I guess, from his point, right?
Yep. Hey, real quick, I just want to I want to give a couple facts, over some points that I gave out earlier, just so it doesn't seem like I'm talking out of my ass here.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
When I said that the number that they gave us with that 7 or 8 pills per player a week thing, that was straight from a study. It's in the article, so I'm not going to try to link you here or anything. But there is a quote right in the article from the lawsuit, the evidence in the lawsuit. One trainer sent an email to a different trainer on a different team. Hey, can you have your office fax a copy of your DEA certificate to me? I need it for my records when the NFL pill counters come to see if we are doing things right. Don't worry, I'm pretty good at keeping them off the trail. So we know that we have hard, cold evidence that NFL trainers were operating in this manner, which means that those numbers that they're giving us are BS at that point. You know what I mean? So that's those facts there. And then I forget what the other one that I wanted to say was, the rules that they broke, the federal laws that they're breaking with the pills, and why the weed is illegal argument never made any sense in the first place, because they were breaking the law anyway. The federal law prohibited them from traveling state to state with it, which is what they were doing, because they were obviously bringing it on their team planes, bringing it to everyone. There's more facts in the article, so I'll let you guys read that, but I just want to at least provide some clarity for a couple of those points that we just brushed over real quick.
Right, because of course there's always a naysayer, and there's always somebody who's, hey, where's the site, where's your sites, where's your proof, where's your facts, this and that.
Listen, you can Google this and do the research, look up NFL former players lawsuit about painkillers, and you'll probably find all the cold hard evidence that I have in the article anyway, or you can just read the article. Mike read it. I went through all the evidence and facts based on this argument. So
absolutely. And you know what, I'll definitely have it in the description on this video, just so everybody can check it out. AG, thanks for coming on, man. Thanks for giving me your time, man.
Real quick before we cut out, you want to talk about Byron Jones real quick, because that's kind of what sparked this whole conversation. We didn't really mention him, but he recently retired a week or two ago, and he tweeted out, I'm retiring because I can't move like I could before a couple years ago. Can't jump as high. I can't run the same. And he goes, don't take those injections. Don't take those pills. And a lot of people, obviously in the media right now, it's the hot thing to, call any kind of heart problem or anybody saying don't take injections. Everybody's going right to the jab for the COVID jab, right? But real ones know he wasn't talking about that. He's talking about what they're giving them to keep them on the field in between games, during practice weeks, things like that. He's talking about the injections of painkillers and popping pills and things like that. So, I just wanted to clear that up too. But that's the whole reason we even started talking about this again. I wrote that article like 2 years ago. But Byron Jones, I mean, the proof is in the pudding right there. He's telling you right now he's retiring because he can't move the same. His body doesn't feel the same. And he's telling you straight from his mouth that it's the pills and injections that the NFL is providing.
And you know what? I got to salute him for that too, because, like I said, this is worth talking about. This is worth having a conversation over. But him coming out and saying this can start kind of a conversation within that community. Hey, are we taking care of ourselves properly? Are we listening to our bodies? You know, are we medicating? Are we over medicating? What are we doing? Like, it's an assessment that this community can have, and in turn can spare themselves a world of heartache down the line after retirement. I mean, after their career's over and into retirement. So I salute them big time for that one, man. And I hope that other players come out and follow suit. You know,
Yeah.
I would like to hear more testimony. I would like to hear from these retired players.
This is prime for the NFLPA too.
Right.
Step in, do something about this, or, start, I forget when the next CBA is, but I think it's in a couple years.
I think it is in a couple of years.
I think 2024, maybe. I don't know. Off the top of my head, I don't know why 2024 sounds right to me, but I'm guessing. But
you might be right.
If it's coming up in the next few years, I mean, that should be definitely a considered topic. And I'm not even arguing. I'm not even fully arguing for the holistic, weed and things like that. I'm not on that side. Like, I don't smoke it medicinally. Like, I don't do it for that reason. So I'm not making an argument for that either. I'm just making an argument for these pills are fucking people up. And it's everyday people too. This is just an NFL thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
this is a country.
These NFL players.
This is a nationwide issue. You know,
right?
This is not just an athlete issue. And I'm glad it's being expressed, because you do have these owners that do want to play an extra game.
Mm-hmm.
They want to make extra money and things like that. So it's like, something's got to give at some point, right? These guys are playing almost. They play like 6 months out of the year now, and practices and things like that. And we gotta that conversation has to be had, because everybody's kind of focusing so heavily on the concussion thing, right? Concussions, which is great,
Mm-hmm.
right? But there's so much more to this game. And what's funny to me is, like, it's okay to hit somebody low and into the knees, right? But you can't hit anybody in the head anymore. Like, how about we teach proper tackling? You know what I mean? Like, get somebody square. It's I don't know, man. That's a whole different topic as well.
That is. I was about to say, I fear that the fundamentals of all sports are kind of dwindling lately. Yeah, I know we're talking about football right now, but I went to my little cousin's basketball tournaments like 2-3 weekends ago. And man, no fundamentals. They're out there running college sets, running college level plays that I've seen before. I know these sets, but they can't get the ball up the court against the press to even run the set. I'm like, and his mom, my aunt, she's telling me, they don't do fundamentals. So I sent them like some drills to do and stuff. But I mean, this social media age, they just want to shoot threes or score touchdowns in football, and it's like the fundamentals is lost, definitely.
Yeah, and that's why I have like such a deep, I wouldn't say hate. I don't hate anybody, but a deep dislike for Patrick Mahomes, because to me, if I was to describe Patrick Mahomes, he's the NFL's version of Steph Curry.
Okay. Yeah.
The
comparison makes sense already.
It's the lack of fundamentals that he shows. Not saying that he doesn't have it. He just does not show the fundamentals from a quarterback's perspective, and he does things that's against all rules that you learn in football, throwing across the body, throwing it, right in the middle of press coverage, things like that, right?
But he makes it look so good.
And he makes it look easy.
Do it too.
Now the kids want to do it.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing in basketball, right? You got Steph Curry, who started the whole pull up from the logo thing. Now you got Damian Lillard, he pulls up from the logo. Now everybody wants to pull up from the logo. Yeah. So, I don't know, man. And even over the last few years, man, I know we're talking about, we could talk about sports in general, right? If you even talk about the evolution of basketball, there's more 3-pointers being shot in the league now more than ever before. Mm-hmm. When in probably about 5, 6, 7 years ago, at the beginning of the Warriors run, it was like way less, per player, like 5 or 6 threes. They weren't taking as many threes, nearly as many threes. So
people are saying there's people. I think I saw the headline today. Somebody put it out. One of these, media companies. They said Mark Jackson ruined basketball by enabling Steph Curry, or telling Steph Curry to go play that way and do that, and it was super successful for them. But But there's a point to be made there. So yeah, I definitely agree. I'm glad we got into different sports too, though, because there is a point to be made. This isn't just a football issue. Like we said, it's a whole nation issue, but it's every sports league too. The NBA players are getting stuff too. They're getting injections, they're getting pills. Maybe not as much as the NFL. The NFL is a little more like brutal, where they might be using more. I can fully concede that, but it's definitely being used in other sports for sure, all around the world even. So this is an issue that should definitely be talked about.
Absolutely, man. I'm glad you're here to talk it with me. We definitely at that 30-minute mark, like we talked about. So with that, man, hey, thanks for coming on, man. You're welcome here anytime. Talk about any kind of anything, man.
Yeah, definitely, bro. It was a pleasure. I appreciate it. So yeah, definitely hit me up whenever you want to talk about anything. I'm game. And we'll definitely be having you back on the channel too. I haven't done much just because the NBA has been so whack to me lately. I'm still betting it, but I don't even really want to talk about it. So I'm just putting some picks out on Twitter and everything because it's just it's kind of a whack product in my opinion. So if you want the NBA picks and college basketball picks, March Madness around the corner, follow us on Twitter at @MOO_sports. That's the Men of Order Sports account. You can follow our regular Twitter, Men of Order Media, and Men of Order Sports on YouTube as well. We'll definitely be back there for football season and, gearing up to football season. Probably do some March Madness stuff and some NBA stuff when the playoffs roll around, but definitely not, every day consistently probably. But NFL season we will be. So that's where you can find us.
Yeah, awesome, man. And you mentioned March Madness, so I'm going to have to get with you on that one. I got to do some research, though.
I got you, bro. All that research will be right there on the Twitter, all right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So with that, guys, we're going to call it a night. Make sure you guys like the thumb, hit the sub. Big Mike Raider, we're making this thing grow, and we're here to stay. Thank you guys for popping in. You guys have a good night.
Peace.
Salute, salute, salute.
Fuck it, I entertain and play along. They claim they the best in the game when I'm the system that they play it on. They copy me, but my pattern is far beyond strange. I sit back and watch my clones play like LeBron James. See, I'm the illest that's walking under the firmament. A pat on the back from me will leave a pumper that's permanent. They pointed and laughed when cautious wasn't doing well. I needed that. First you learn, then you remove the L. Soon after that, you can't be stopped. Get up and go and get it. You gotta activate your hustle if you want specifics. It's no denying me, my flow's terrific. All these candy bars being produced, I guess that made me the golden ticket. My whole life good and evil been playing tug of war, but still I remain flyer than Marty McFly's hoverboard. Don't trust the soul, too many stabs in the back. They sleeping on me, now it's time to wake them up from their nap. It's a difference between confusion and undeniable rap. That's why fake they listen and don't know how to act back. Sonic boom, I'm light speeding, trust the haters like scheming. Switch up from good to bad to gremlin type like they night feeding.